In the sun-soaked city of Oceanside, California, Esteban Rios and Luisa Rodriguez arrived from Mexico in the 1990s, quietly chasing the American dream. Like so many before them, they left behind everything familiar, driven by hope and the promise of a better life for their future family. For over 30 years, Esteban and Luisa worked tirelessly in cleaning jobs, offices, homes, and schools, building a safe and loving home for their children, Steve and Ashley. Every paycheck was carefully budgeted, every dollar stretched to provide stability and opportunity. Their lives were defined by hard work, integrity, and a spotless record. They took pride in every task, no matter how humble, believing that honest labor was the foundation of a good life. At home, they raised their kids as Americans, instilling values of honesty, respect, and the importance of contributing to society. Family dinners were filled with stories of perseverance and hope, lessons passed down with love. Esteban and Luisa became the backbone of their family, quietly integrating into their community. They volunteered at school events, helped neighbors, and built friendships that spanned cultures and generations. They paid taxes, attended every school meeting, and never missed a day of work, no matter how tired they felt. Their dedication was unwavering, their sacrifices often unseen. Their greatest pride was their children, Steve and Ashley, the living proof of their sacrifices and dreams. Every milestone, from school awards to birthdays, was a celebration of how far they had come. As their roots deepened in California, Esteban and Luisa began the long, complicated process of formalizing their status. Green card applications, work visas, and endless paperwork became part of their daily lives, each form filled out with hope and anxiety. They followed every rule, believing that decades of hard work, a clean record, and their contributions to the community would count for something. They trusted in the promise that America rewards those who play by the rules. The Rios family was the embodiment of the American dream, rooted in hope, perseverance, and love, until everything changed. Steve Rios grew up witnessing the quiet strength of his parents every single day, their exhaustion after long shifts, the calloused hands that told the story of years of hard work. Esteban and Luisa Rios had come to America with little more than hope and determination, taking on any job they could find to provide for their family. Their sacrifices were not just physical, but emotional too, as they navigated a new country, a new language, and the constant uncertainty that comes with being undocumented. Steve felt a deep, unshakable gratitude for everything his parents had endured. He knew that their struggles had paved the way for his opportunities, and he carried a sense of responsibility, not just to his family, but to the country that had given them a chance at a better life. The American flag in their living room wasn't just a decoration, it was a symbol of hope, of dreams, and of the sacrifices made to reach them. For Steve, joining the U.S. Marines was more than a career choice. It was a calling. It was his way of honoring his parents' journey, of making their invisible sacrifices visible to the world. He wanted to show them, and everyone else, that their hard work had not been in vain. It was just making them proud, Steve said, reflecting on his decision. The least I could do was serve this country that gave us a home. For Steve, every salute, every uniformed moment was a tribute to his parents' courage. For Esteban and Luisa, seeing their son in uniform was more than a proud moment. It was the culmination of years of sacrifice, hope, and perseverance. It was proof that their journey, with all its hardships, had led to something meaningful. Esteban wore his proud dad of a U.S. Marine hat everywhere he went. A simple, powerful statement that spoke volumes about his pride and love for his son. It was a badge of honor, a way to show the world what his family had achieved. But beneath the pride and celebration, a shadow lingered over the Rios family. Steve's service in the Marines didn't erase the reality of his parents' precarious legal status. The fear of separation, of losing everything they had built, was always present. The threat of deportation was a constant worry, even as Steve hoped that his service and loyalty would somehow protect his family. Every news report, every knock at the door, brought a wave of anxiety. Steve believed, deep down, that his commitment to the country would shield his parents from harm. He clung to the hope that his sacrifice would be enough to keep his family safe. But that belief would soon be put to the ultimate test, in ways none of them could have foreseen. The Rios family's sense of security was about to be shaken. The Rios family's American story, built on hope and hard work, was about to collide with a harsh and unforgiving reality. Their journey was far from over. Their hope for security was fragile, held together by love and determination, but threatened by forces beyond their control. And soon, the true cost of service and the price of the American dream would become heartbreakingly clear for the Rios family. The last weekend of September 2025 was meant to be a joyful family visit, a simple trip filled with anticipation and love. Esteban and Luisa Rios had been looking forward to this weekend for months, eager to see their pregnant daughter, Ashley, and her husband, a proud Marine stationed at Camp Pendleton. The drive to the base was filled with laughter and stories, the couple reminiscing about Ashley's childhood and imagining the new life she was about to bring into the world. For Esteban and Luisa, this visit was more than a family reunion. It was a celebration of their journey and sacrifices. But as they reached the base gate, what should have been a routine ID check took a sudden, unexpected turn. The familiar process became tense as military police scrutinized their documents more closely than ever before. Within minutes, military police flagged their documents, and soon, ICE agents appeared at the scene. The air grew heavy with uncertainty as the couple realized something was terribly wrong. In a matter of moments, 30 years of careful, quiet living in the United States unraveled at the entrance to a military base. The life they had built, the dreams they had nurtured, all seemed to hang in the balance. The pride they felt in their daughter's marriage to a Marine, and the hope for their growing family, was suddenly overshadowed by the cold reality of immigration enforcement. Esteban and Luisa were no longer seen as loving parents or proud in-laws, but as subjects for removal, stripped of their dignity and separated from the very family they came to support. They were taken from the gate to a federal building for processing, their fate now in the hands of strangers and a system they had long feared. The afternoon that began with hope and excitement was replaced by the sterile fear of detention, the uncertainty of what would come next haunting every moment. Their American dream, once so bright, was suddenly plunged into darkness, leaving them to wonder if they would ever see their family whole again. The visit they had so carefully planned ended before it even began, leaving only heartbreak in its wake. The short drive to see their daughter became a one-way trip into the heart of the immigration system, a journey they never imagined they would have to take. In just a few hours, the Rios family's world was turned upside down, their story forever changed by a single, life-altering stop at the gates of Camp Pendleton. After hours in custody, Esteban and Luisa were released, but with ankle monitors. These devices meant for criminals became a humiliating symbol of their new reality. Every step at home was a reminder they were being watched. They were ordered to report back to ICE in a few days. The family's relief was short-lived, replaced by frantic calls to lawyers and desperate searches for answers. The joy of an impending grandchild was eclipsed by fear. The monitors marked them as outsiders in their own community. Their freedom was an illusion, and the next act promised only more dread. On October 2nd, Esteban and Luisa did as instructed, reporting to ICE with hope that their son's service and their clean record would matter. Esteban wore his proud dad of a U.S. Marine hat, a silent plea for recognition. They waited for hours, hope fading with each minute. When their names were called, the news was devastating. They were being detained again. The ankle monitors had been a temporary leash, not a path to freedom. This time, there would be no release. They were headed to Otay Mesa Detention Center. The shock was overwhelming. Esteban's hat became a symbol of tragic irony. The system saw only their status, not their contributions. The door to their future slammed shut. The dream of seeing their grandchild was slipping away. The days after their second detention were a blur of fear and heartbreak. Esteban and Luisa were separated, confined in Otay Mesa Detention Center. On October 10th, just 8 days after reporting to ICE, Esteban was deported to Mexico, without a final goodbye. Decades of clean living, pending green cards, and pleas for mercy meant nothing. The family was shattered. Steve, the Marine, was left questioning the meaning of his service. Ashley, pregnant, mourned the loss of her father's presence. Luisa remained in detention, her fate uncertain. The Rios family was fractured. Esteban in Mexico, Luisa in custody, their children left to pick up the pieces. The country they served had exiled them. The American dream had become a nightmare. Ashley's final weeks of pregnancy were filled with anxiety and heartbreak. Her father was gone, her mother detained. The milestones of motherhood, feeling the baby kick, decorating the nursery, were overshadowed by her parents' absence. "I'd always want my mom in the delivery room," Ashley said, her voice breaking. The joy of new life was tangled with grief. Her husband, a Marine, could only watch as the system tore their family apart. The birth of her child would be bittersweet, a new American citizen, but missing grandparents. Ashley faced motherhood alone, her family's story now one of separation. The weight of this reality was almost unbearable. The Rios family's ordeal exposes a painful conflict: military service members pledging to defend a nation that targets their own families for deportation. Steve Rios swore to protect America, expecting support in return. Instead, his family was caught in a bureaucratic crossfire. Across the country, military families face similar battles, pleading for compassion that rarely comes. Programs meant to protect them, like parole in place, have become harder to access. The psychological toll on service members is profound. How can they fight for a nation that won't protect their loved ones? ICE's rigid enforcement leaves no room for mercy or recognition of service. The result: families are torn apart, and the very foundation of military morale is shaken. The Rios case is not unique. It's a symptom of a system at odds with its own values. The unseen battle is as real as any fought overseas. The Rios family's story is a deeply American tragedy. It forces us to ask, does a Marine service mean nothing if his parents' status is in question? Decades of hard work and sacrifice were erased by a system that values enforcement over humanity. The deportation of Esteban and detention of Luisa didn't make America safer. It shattered a family. A pregnant daughter lost her parents. A Marine lost faith in his country. The American dream became a nightmare, exposing a moral failure at the heart of our immigration system. The Rioses gave America their best, only to be broken apart. Their struggle is a mirror for the nation in 2025. Laws applied without compassion come at a devastating human cost. The price is paid by families like the Rioses, proud, hard-working, and now heartbreakingly divided.